press the bell icon on the YouTube app to never miss a video from News Laundry.
This is a News Laundry podcast and you're listening to Highway on my podcast with Rocky, Mayur and Abhinandan.
We're back!
We're hungry!
And we are with the two biggest men in food and travel in India, Rocky and Mayur, taking you down the highway, this time into Sikkim. Also joining us is co-director and co-producer of many a fantastic travel and food show, Prashant Sareen. Hi, Prashant.
Hi everyone.
Also the driver for most of these journeys because he loves driving.
That's true.
My name is Abhinandan and thank you so much all of you for being a part of this wonderful journey that we are undertaking to bring the highway to you during these lockdown times since you can't get to the highway. And today we take you to Sikkim. Before I hand over to the big guys who obviously have a better memory than me, I just want to give you one apology right at the outset. At the best of times, I mix up Hyderabad with Sikandrabad and Bangalore restaurant with some place we went to in Amritsar. Here it's going to be even worse because it was a very long schedule. Usually our schedule is between 5 and 12 days. The schedule from Bengal, Assam, Arunachal, Sikkim was like one long 27, 28 days drive. So it's one big haze in my head. Just putting it out there. So don't hate on me for mixing up places.
Yes, welcome all of you to another podcast. And if you're sick of listening to Abhinandan's long explanation about nothing, here I am with another long explanation about something. What the director does is keep an eye on how the program is unfolding. So he is in the moment at all times. He's there. No matter what's happening, the mood of the anchors, the twist of the camera, the angle of the audio, everything is in the director's mind. So his mind is busy working on making shows. So he has no idea where he is and what he's doing. He's often lost. So please forgive him. The producer, on the other hand, the producer pays the money. He organizes the hotels, does everything, gets the planning done. That is Prashant. That is why we stayed in miserable places where we had to pay from our own pockets sometimes to be able to get clean sheets and reasonable food. And the anchors don't know anything. They are like God's angels himself. They are just there to perform their duty. Whatever they're told, they do. They compromise and they collaborate as much as they can. And they do the best job they can, but they have no idea. So if you get nothing out of this episode, you will know that it is because we don't know anything. We don't do anything. We're just there for a good looks.
Right, and your aim was only to bankrupt the producer.
Yes.
But Mayo, where all are you taking us to Sikkim?
First, I have to record this little bit that Rocky said so that I can make sure that we never play it for anybody where we go looking for work. Like, what are you going to do for us? We are anchors. We don't know anything. It's okay. We will pay you because that's what we've always done in the past. We pay to work.
I also said good looks here. You've completely omitted the good looks part of it. Multinational, international, purely national good looks. From Nagaland to Sir Creek, from Gulmarg to Kanyakumari, there is nothing but our good looks. Andaman, Nicobar to Lakshadweep. We are the best looking
dhabas.
We are the best looking two guys on the highway who are eating and doing a show on street foods in India right now. Name me two other guys who are better looking than us, who are doing street food shows.
Tell me, when we were growing up, somebody said one day you'll be a pin-up. Is this what you imagined?
Oh, by the way, speaking of, I have a letter today that will make you happy about being pin-ups. But Mayur, where all did we go? I remember the drive was beautiful to Sikkim. It was stunning. And it was, guys, it is spectacularly clean. If every part of the country can take a leaf from Sikkim books, please do. But where exactly did we stop? Because Rocky, you're right. I don't remember one place for the other. What were those?
So I want to say, you're saying your memory is not that good. Your memory is better than mine in this case because I didn't realize there was such a long schedule. But then also it's because we're anchors. We're not very aware of what's going on. But one time I remember we did the whole Bagdogra route and we went in from that side because I remember when you come to that place where you have those two lions. Sikkim is guarded by those two lions.
Yes.
And then you have to cross that road by the two lions to get into Sikkim. So I remember one time we went from there. The second time I want to say that we went from the Kalimpong side. Rock?
Well, boys and girls, listen carefully to Uncle Rocky telling you the real story. You land at the wonderful airport of Bagdogra at the chicken's neck of India, the one that helps us get control on the chicken's neck. And from the chicken's neck, if you take a left, you will reach the legendary land of Naxalbari, where many people have heard about it. It's a place where Naxalism was born, apparently. But if you take a right, you will come to Phoolbari and Anarbari and other such wonderful places. This is, of course, once you get up north and get into hit the Teesta River. And instead of taking right towards Anarbadi and Phulbadi, if you keep going straight, you will come to the magical, beautiful land of Sikkim. I can already hear the wind roaring in the mountain pines, the song of birds.
So that photograph where we took, the
अच्छा यार निकू ठहर जा कितना मजा आ रहा है मैं तो निकल गया था यार मैं तो कंचनजंगा पहुंच रहा था ऊपर तूने क्या interrupt किया
By the way,
Rocky is trying to do a Shashi Tharoor on us.
Shashi Tharoor. Shashi Tharoor. Yeah. I'm unfolding a layer upon layer of memory while you roughly guffaw like the flabber shambams that you are. I gently talk about the inescapable uplifting of my spirits in the high mountains of Sikkim.
Can we say goodbye to London and come to Sikkim? Listen, so that photograph, we did the top angle shot. The photograph is there. It will be part of the newsletter with the Teesta in the background. That we had crossed into Sikkim, or that is still on this side of Sikkim?
Yeah, that's the Teesta River bridge. If we cross that bridge, then we get away from Sikkim. If we stay on the left side of the road and keep going up that road where there were lots of landslides and traffic jams and where the two Sikkimese lions were on the road. If we keep going up that road, then we head up north. So for those of you who don't know, let me give you the geographical layout of Sikkim is Tibet is above it, Nepal is on the left of it, and Bhutan is on the right of it. It's like a little extension of the chicken's neck that goes up, and on the right is Meghalaya.
And its history's been like that also. First, the Tibetans came in and took over for a long time. Then the Hindu kingdom of Nepal sent its people. Then the British helped kick them out. So there's been like a whole host of influences, both like cultural and culinary, into Sikkim.
So one of the most stunning shoots we've done is in the Rumtek Monastery in Sikkim. Then we have come across the most beautiful person in uniform I have seen in my life. And that is a really good story, and I bag telling it. And we also will talk about Gangtok, the roll house that we went to. But first, I just like to tell all of you, it's Mayur's wedding anniversary today. And while he's told us...
Happy anniversary, Mayur!
Happy badaiye, Mayur! Shadishuda ho gaya, beta!
I'm so happy that you've been married for so many years and you tolerated all those beatings with such josh. I'm proud of you, my friend.
You're a survivor.
How many years, Mayur?
12 years now.
12 years.
Wow.
So guys, 12 years ago this day, we cut short a schedule. I don't know where that schedule was. Came here.
Kashmir.
Kashmir.
Srinagar, Dal Lake.
Mayur got married. We all danced. Rocky did that thing where you go down on your haunches and you take one leg out. And I was like, Rocky, mat kar, you'll break your leg. But he didn't. He did
Russian
that
dance. Yeah.
I got onto Rocky's shoulder. We danced. We wished Michelle, his wife, welcome to the family. Welcome. She was very excited that we said, please enjoy tonight and tomorrow. Day after, we are going to complete our schedule of High on a Plate to Srinagar, Gulmarg. And
Pelgam, honeymoon's paradise.
And his honeymoon was with us. So we got him here, got him married, and he came back to head on the highway. That is how committed we were to traveling.
And Mayur, we are proud of you for sticking it through for so many years. Just make sure you don't buy Michelle those glasses she's been asking you to buy her. Because as soon as she can see your face clearly, there would be a problem.
Yes, sir, Mino.
So why don't you start, Rocky? Because half my drive is full of photographs of Rumtek Monastery. I mean, I don't know why you took like 585,000 photographs. Because about 285,000, those are the same. So you're clicking 7 frames in one shot. Clearly, it had a huge impact on you. Tell us about that monastery. What was that shoot like? And was it worth waking up early in the morning to get that shot?
Listen, it was worth every single thing. It was worth that 8-hour journey. I think the distance from Bagdogra to Gangtok, if I'm not mistaken, is like 200 kilometers or something. It's like nothing. But it takes about 7 or 8 hours to get there because the roads are just excruciating.
Jesus, Milind, someone could run it in half that time, man.
I know. I could run it in half that time if I was coming downhill. Because I bounce really well. I just don't like going up.
Like a crazy ball.
Like a crazy ball. But it's a beautiful road because at some point you get away from the plains of Assam and the heat and you start climbing up. And then you're in this absolutely magical forest, which is sort of, untouched for centuries. You have original growth forests over there. In some patches, there are national parks, etc. But it is just the most beautiful drive. And I remember nobody complained about anything. Even Niku didn't complain. Prashant, you've done that drive, have you?
I've done that on my honeymoon, by the way.
How lovely. You're also a cheapskate. You took your wife to Sikkim for honeymoon.
That would be 26 or 27 years ago.
Wow.
The
Were
road
cars
was
then, or did you go in a horse carriage?
no, Maruti 800 at that time. What fun!
But yeah, dude, the roads there, like the shortest of distance, take forever.
Yeah, but it's a beautiful road, like Rocky was saying, and I remember that along the road you can stop there, and it's one of those rare places where you can just get out of the car and you'll find huge, massive, giant ferns by the roadside.
Yeah.
You know, which are like literally as large as a tree, and also you will find on trees orchids growing. I don't think so anywhere else in India you can see orchids growing wild.
No, it's
So
beautiful.
it's
And you
very
have
famous for
waterfalls, you know,
orchids.
in the season, you have waterfalls all along your left-hand side.
Right.
And the road, of course, is corroded. But at the border of Assam, when you get there, you have some wonderful restaurants and dhabas. Mayur keeps talking about how his favorite momos were over there at the border.
Yeah, momos and tukpa. That one place we stopped where the teast, you can see the teesta on this little wooden shack. Was this lady cooking the momos and the tukpa. And we had a beautiful view of the teesta, and she gave us that hot lemon tea without the milk. She didn't have any of that Sikkimese tumba, the millet beer. We asked for that. She didn't have that. So we had that tea, and then we said that. And Rocky, remember, they had like 2 or 3 different types of noodles because of all the influences in Sikkim. They had the flat ones.
Yeah,
Those are
the
called
flat Sikkimese noodles.
Tentuk or Gyathuk. They have the round ones, which are, I think, Gyathuk, and then the flat ones. And then they even have ones that are shaped like gnocchi. They love playing with pasta there. But they have the flat ones there. And what a delicious tukpa it was, man. Wow.
Yeah, it's amazing how the influences are. Because, I mean, you would have glass noodles are very popular. They're available everywhere. And you have a lot of smuggled stuff that comes in from China. I mean, good luck charms and little red, bells and cats and things like that.
Actually, Nathula is still, it's one of those border posts where a lot of trade happens. And the Bhutias are the ones who traditionally had the license to do trade across the border with China. So there is a lot of trade that happens with China from Nathula. You guys drove up to Nathula, did you?
I don't remember if we drove up to Nathula, did we?
Not while we were recording for Highway on My Plate.
Oh,
I've been there otherwise. But it's a beautiful place, and the kind of birds that you get there are absolutely magnificent. I was talking about the birds of Arunachal in the episode that we did earlier. So you have some magnificent birds all along that road. Once you get up that road, then you just start seeing the most phenomenal birds everywhere. So for me,
I remember when we went to the Rumtek Monastery, Rocky, you left a meal halfway. And remember, it was on the slope, and there was a slope, and there was like one bird which you were trying to capture. And you went down that slope, and you rolled down part of that slope to get to the shore.
I do that often. It's a hobby of mine, rolling down slopes.
but my earliest memory of Sikkim, Gangtok, this is when my father was posted to Siliguri in the summer holidays. I must have been 5 or 6.
I've told you before, it's not Siliguri anymore. The name has changed to Clever Guri. We are a new country now. We are a smart city complex.
Gangtok, and there was a army cantonment there. And I remember there used to be leeches there. And my earliest memory is that back then the barracks and the Fauji facilities had these wooden toilets, which was basically, it was a pan in a wooden seat, which had to be emptied out. And I remember I sat on it and I fell. And I was lying there on the floor with my shit all over myself.
Oh, no.
And I was 6 years, I was crying. I was like, I want to go back to Dehradun. I hate I hate Gangtok. I want to come to this wet, cold,
sleepless
place. That is my earliest memory of Gangtok. But we got this early morning shot. And I must say, Rocky has clicked some, I think, of his best photographs here. There's this beautiful image of this monk in a frame in his window. And Rocky's got exactly that frame.
Wow.
It was beautiful. I mean, it was magical. We reached the evening before, and I remember we stayed at a hotel, and across the mountain we could see the Rumtek Monastery. And the hotel was across the hill. It's
and it was a lovely hotel because it was away from the town. So there was just the hotel and not much else. And in the evening we sat, and our rooms had that view of the other side, and we sat and had a drink that night.
Yeah, there was sunset on one side and the Rumtek Monastery on the other. So that was, and just thick forest all over the place, and the lights of Gangtok in the distance. What a wonderful view that was. I mean, you guys have to go there and check it out for yourself.
You woke up really early that morning and went off to take photographs and stuff also.
Yeah, because the air is magical in that area. Yeah? The colors just come out. If you see the photographs, you'll realize that the colors are just, it looks like, instead of my cheap camera, which I use because I'm too cheap to buy expensive ones, it looks like I'm actually using an expensive camera. Yeah. So it's just a pleasure to photograph anything in that kind of air. The Hawa is so beautiful.
And also, those of you who will subscribe to the newsletter, you'll see that the colors just generally of the monastery, of what the monks are wearing, of the blue sky. There's this holy of colors. There's just this pachak of all different colors. There's yellows and greens and the bright outfits of the monks and the deep burgundies. It is a stunning photographer's delight, man.
It is, and and that's one of the main reasons why I think Buddhism has captured the imagination of the world and is does so well and spread so much, is because they don't have a problem with you coming in and taking a photograph and behaving decently. I mean, you go to any monastery, whether it's Tibetan or it's Indian or it's any Buddhist worship area, and they welcome you and they're like, of course, there is God here. It belongs to everybody. Please feel free to take your photographs. Don't disturb the monks. Don't set the place on fire. Don't be rude. But please go ahead and do whatever you have to do. And that is such a welcoming attitude. And then you have these images which are mind-boggling.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sorry I interrupted you, but I to my mind, I mean, it's just that they're so confident and they're so sort of self-content. They're not afraid of anything. Unlike other religions, they're always afraid of some other religion coming in and grabbing some part of their being. The Buddhists are like chill, yeah. They're so chill. I mean, they're relaxed about their religion, which is so refreshing.
My experience in Sri Lanka, boys, if you remember when Rocky and I were making cheap faces as we were hitting the temple of the tooth at Kandy, was a little different. But yeah, but I will say we had a fantastic shoot. When you walk up, there's a steep climb. Some of our best photographs are of the Rumtek Monastery. If you subscribe to the newsletter, which you can do by clicking on the link, wherever you listen to this podcast, below that, there'll be the link. If you want to subscribe to our newsletter, you'll get these photographs. Now, what did we eat there? Because I remember this was part of Addas, because there are also schools. This monastery was built in the 18th century. It's really ancient monastery. And there is some controversy surrounding it, because I think in this monastery, there were two karmapas, I think you call them, the guys who had it. So there are two factions who were fighting. I think there was
Kagyu sect and there's one more sect.
So I think this is the guy who had come from China. They said he should be the head of this monastery. But anyway, that controversy, I remember, was briefly mentioned.
Yeah, and Buddhist fights are no fun anyway, because they just beat themselves up and they're like, deal with your karma.
So that was Rumtek. So any other memories of Rumtek you have?
Of course. We haven't even got to Rumtek yet. Why are you leaving there? We got there. I think we reached there at 4:30 in the morning.
Yeah, dude, early. We saw sunrise. We've got the photographs.
Because Niku, you wanted the shot of the monks gathering for their early morning classes and their worship before even they went for class.
Yeah.
In the courtyard. Yes. I remember we took the shot. And as we were speaking, when the sun was rising, that dark thing was disappearing and the light band was moving down.
Exactly, that's right.
They were revealed, all of them. They were all standing in the courtyard in the golden and maroon robe.
And the lush green above the monastery, that tree line, the strip of bloody deep green trees with the bright yellow outfits and the bright burgundy. What a scene it was.
And then the sky turned the darkest blue you can imagine. It was just like a indigo blue sky above. I mean, it was like a photographer's dream, but more than that, it was truly a spiritual moment, because there's something so peaceful and welcoming and inclusive about what the Buddhists do, that you just feel like you're part of it. And it's so timeless, it's been happening forever. So you just sort of fit right in. I mean, I don't think anybody can sustain any thoughts of anger or hostility when they're in that sort of environment. At least I didn't.
There could be another reason for that. If you remember when we were there, they said they get one meal first thing in the morning when they wake up, and we'll discuss that meal. And if you come in late for the prayers, when you're praying, you get that meal. Then you have the second meal of the day, which is at 11:30. And in the summer, that's it. And in winter, you get a light dinner. So if you miss the first meal or the second meal, that's it. You're not eating. So probably a lot of your thoughts are about mustn't miss the meal.
And I remember another of my favorite photographs is there, because in one of the rooms where everybody takes off their shoes and goes, they're like, dozens and scores of shoes lying there. And assistant director Subodh decided to click a photograph of mine when I was sitting on the staircase. I don't know, I must have been giving some instructions. So there's me with just juta chappals around me, as if I'm like selling jutas, second-hand jutas. So that was
Juta party.
No, but it was wonderful. I mean, even going into their classes, I remember when we were shooting for Addas, we finished this morning thing, and hats off to our cameraman Ajay Arya, who's just like absolutely brilliant. And wherever he went, that day I said, I'm taking a half an hour off. Wherever the cameraman goes to get his angles, I'm taking photos from there. And what angles he takes here. I mean, he was lying down, standing on his head, climbing up on walls, swinging from trees. And of course, I was doing all that right behind him. So, we managed to get some nice photos. But that classroom was pretty intense. Any of you remember that classroom that we went into?
And there was some, was that in the classroom where they wore that headgear, which was pretty elaborate?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The red headgear.
One guy was beating a drum with a curved drumstick.
Yeah.
Like a horseshoe-shaped drumstick. He was beating a drum, dum, and then they would all chant something. Then he would beat the drum again. They would chant again. And there were two guys who we realized were probably Jats from Haryana, our brethren, who were sitting in the back who didn't know a single one of the things. Every time they would just pretend to sing along, but they didn't know what was going on.
There's always two of those, no matter which school or what state you go to.
So we were winking at them and they were smiling at us. They were like, we don't know.
I didn't do my homework, sir.
But हमने नाश्ते के लिए वहाँ पे, the first when we sat with all the monks and they were chanting, we had this very thick maida roti. I don't remember the name, Palema. We had that maida roti, and then they had a very simple aloo sabzi with only some haldi, salt, pepper, and ginger. That was it. With that, and then they had the chai, which was not the noon chai. It had that very thick chunk of butter put in there. It gets really, really cold there. So they're in the habit of drinking this hot buttered tea. So that's what we had that was the breakfast meal. And then for lunch, we had again roti. And then they came to us with the buckets and they had this vegetable stew that they had in there. That was flavored by something fermented. Because even in Sikkim, they love the fermented thing. Like Nagaland has its akhuni. Sikkim also has this thing there. It's called kinema. It's much milder, but they do the same thing. They take the soybean, they squash it, then they ferment it in fern-lined baskets. They put it in thing, and then they use it to flavor soups and all their vegetable greens. So it was flavored with that. It was a whole bunch of vegetables flavored with that.
Yeah, I mean, you have this, the churpi, the yak milk cheese that they have. They make a sort of pickled salad thing with it called the churpi ashar. And that's like a pickle with cheese. And it's quite wonderful. And then, the kinema is this fermented soybean paste, which they sort of eat a lot of their food with. And then they have the gundruk and the sinki, which is like fermented vegetables, sort of vegetable things which they use in curries and pickles. But their sail roti, at least that's what it's called. Yeah. That ring-shaped, deep-fried roti that they had, made from rice and wheat flour, which was a combination of both. So that was really good. But but my favorite in Sikkim is always going to be the dalle khursani. I mean, the chilies they make with it and the pork they make with it. They do this fried pork dish, which is just dalle khursani and pork. And they cook the two together in
So we had that in Gangtok, dalle khursani. Because I remember when we went to Gangtok, there was this, of course, we'll all talk about the lady policewoman who we saw. But did we eat that dalle khursani in Gangtok, or was it on the way on this road somewhere?
The first time on Highway on My Plate we ate dalle khursani was when we went to the wedding. When we were heading out of, I think, West Bengal or Assam, and we were
invited
towards.
Guys, this is the most wonderful thing. We were shooting that. I remember the Tatti sequence in the tea gardens, and there's this car that was driving past, and these roads aren't you don't see many cars going up and down. It just stopped. There were two cars, and this guy came out. I remember his name was Siddharth, and he says, "Hi."
Siddharth, a friend. He's an explorer, and he travels all of the Northeast, and he
also
does
has a travel
tours
company.
and travels. Yes, he does. And Siddharth is a wonderful, wonderful guy. He's a good friend now. I'm in touch with him all the time.
So that's the first time we met him. He walked up to us. He says, "I know you guys. You guys have a wonderful show. How long you here?" We said it's a very 28-day schedule. We're going to be driving all across. He says, "There's a wedding happening in a village here." And that wasn't on the Sikkim side, right? That was on the Assam side. I'm confused. I'm sorry, guys.
It was, in Assam. That was in Assam, I think.
Okay. So, and he invited us for a wedding. Anyway, this is a Sikkim episode. And he invited us for a wedding. And we went to the wedding and we had this dalle khursani there for the first time. And it was like a blast. We took our cameras and we were welcomed like family. We had a blast that evening. We shall head to Gangtok. Gangtok it's a lovely drive getting in. And there's this one street where we had a lot of food. We had the full evening there. They don't allow any traffic. They've paved it. I mean, not cobblestones, but they've paved it with those things. So
it's called MG Marg. It's just off the main,
that main street.
Of the main circle.
So as we were heading there was this crossing. Behold, I see the most beautiful sight I've seen in my life. There was a beautiful woman in uniform, and this song started playing in the background. Mere khayalon ki Mallika. Everything just slowed down. Everything became slow motion. And in this very proud and offhand manner, she was directing traffic. And all of us were stunned and looking because she was truly stunningly spectacular. And they have such a proud, nonchalant expression on their face. And our driver, Jat, from Haryana, pulls up next to her and says, "Sir, ye road kahan hai, sir?" And she looked down at us disdainfully, pointed to the direction, and waved us on. And Rocky, Mayur and I said, "Satish bhai, ek baat bata, sir dekha wahan?" That was sir. Ma'am bolda, madam bolda, kuch bola, didi bol deta. Tujhe wo sir dekha. That was sir. Where was the sirness of this?
Sir is a mark of respect, yaar.
मैंने तो यूनिफॉर्म देखा तो मैंने सर बोल दिया. मैंने कहा well done.
As a Jat, when you see a uniform, it is sir, no matter what your gender.
Yeah.
So he's coming from that culture.
And I have no idea what you're talking about because I didn't see anybody like that. I was busy looking at the scenic mountains and the restaurants
Looking for good
and the
food. Yeah.
looking for good foods.
I think Rocky's wife is in the room. But anyway,
I wasn't even there.
You had to go to the car.
I missed that schedule completely.
I don't even know who you guys are and what I'm doing over here. There is obviously some kind of mixed
I was
connection.
definitely not there.
But dude, you gotta give it. That was one of the most stunning looking people we have seen.
Yeah, I think the best looking Indians, Sikkim is a serious contender because we went down to this KG road market and it's a beautiful market and no cars, no transport, nothing is allowed in there. Cobblestones, beautiful fountains in the middle, lovely shops, large area to sit outside and walk. I mean, it's where everybody comes in the evening. So all the boys and the girls get dressed in their best and they come out and they walk around over there. And they're just such a good looking people. I mean, I was completely blown away. You know, the boys they're like the latest fashion. They're wearing the coolest trends, the latest cuts of clothes. It's just fabulous. I mean, the boys and the girls both were just really, really good looking people. I mean, it was a pleasure to just sit there. And of course, the food was not up to the mark as far as I remember because we found some roll place, but we'll talk about that. Do you guys remember that market? Wasn't it amazing?
Yes, I remember the roll. There was a chicken roll, mutton roll. It was, although it was quite nice, it was fancily done in these also fancy colors and greens and yellows and very trendy. But I remember enjoying that meal, not that meal because I was having 2 bites of everything you guys were eating. Like we tried 2 or 3 places. So I'd have 2 bites from you, then I'd have 2 bites from you there. So by the end of the evening, I was quite satisfied with 2 bites of 10 things. I enjoyed that evening a lot. That was the evening I remember. I was very satisfied.
It was a lovely evening, and yeah, we picked up stuff from 2 or 3 places. But really, what made it special was all those little flower pots, that cobbled street, like sitting down on those benches and watching people go by and do their things. The rolls itself were like nothing to write home about.
Yeah, and the place was so clean. I mean, the people are really hygienic. All the eateries we went to, every place was really clean. The market was really clean. It was just a really nice place to go for a holiday. If you just want to sort of walk around the mall and look around at unique things, and of course everything is like, you know, it's so different from the rest of from anywhere else because it has these influences of Bhutan and Nepal and China and India and mainland India, and it has just a unique culture, a beautiful culture in Sikkim. So I really enjoyed going there. And I've been back 2 or 3 times.
By the way, that state is the only Indian state which is 100% organic now.
Wow.
100% organic farming.
So you mean in terms of their food, all the food they produce is
all the food that they produce, they're 100% organic.
Wow, well done. Sikkim, hats off here. That's something to think about.
Yeah, that and it's not a recent development. They started in 2004. They set up a mission. They decided by 2010 they're going to turn fully organic. And so it's 100% organic state today. The only one in India.
Rocky will remember this, but our first trip to Sikkim, this is not the Rumtek trip. This is when we went to
the roll house trip.
When we went by road.
Yeah.
Roll house trip. The first trip. I remember Rocky took me down. This is the only place back then. I'm talking 10, 12 years ago. You weren't allowed to smoke on the streets. You couldn't smoke in public areas. So either go into your house and you smoke in the balcony or you. So we came down and we were told that you can't smoke. So Rocky, I don't know if you remember Rocky, we were trying to convince him to get married back then. And we had a long chat on the road as we were looking out into the mountain and marveling at it all started off with how clean is this place and they have rules like you can't do this. Says, Niku, you have to learn to live with rules. You don't respect rules because you haven't got married. And he went on this long half an hour, 40 things that I should get married. I don't know if you remember this. We were standing down there.
I have a photograph of the 2 of you standing there. Rocky was wearing that shirt of his which has yellow, blue, red.
Yes, subtle one, subtle shirt.
I have that photograph. I'll send it to you guys.
Trying to convince me to get married.
I have many subtle shirts, and there must have been something wrong with what I was smoking. That's why I was talking like that. Because
But gentlemen, I have a just keep your Sikkim stories ready. This is not going to be a very long episode because a lot of these places are inaccessible. It took us so many hours to get to each of these. So we only did Gangtok and Rumtek and a few, joints along the highway there. But we have some beautiful emails that have come, which I would like to read out if I have your permission, lads. So I love what Ashish Chaudhary calls us. He's a guy, hi, Homp Sapiens. Loving this new podcast. Beautiful born homie. Thanks, Ashish. I'm glad you're on the ride and hope to see you whenever we guys are back on the road. Now, Priyanka says, this is Priyanka from Karwar. Me and my father have been fans of Homp at good times for as long as I can remember. He, being an avid traveler and a foodie, used to take down notes about the places you would recommend. He was very happy to know about the Homp podcast and he has been tuning in as well. Hi, sir. Hi, Priyanka's father. So glad that you're listening and you're traveling along with us. Thanks for bringing Homp again to our lives during dull days. Now, me and my husband, who is a Newslaundry subscriber and fan since 2016. Yo, Priyanka, your husband rocks. Thank him for me. Wait for the podcast every week. We specifically loved Bengal, MP, Rajasthan, Tamil Nadu, UP, and the recent Himachal Pradesh episode. And of course, the cherry on top was when you started your podcast journey with Karwar. Amrut still has Rocky and Mayur's photo on their board.
Wow. Woohoo! I remember that fantastic spice that we had there called the tappad.
Tappad,
You
correct.
know that? Little round berry sort of thing. Yum.
Which was Amrut's, guys? Just remind me.
It was that little place, little canteen sort of place which used to serve, which served, like a lot of people would just keep coming in and going out and they would serve fish and rice and
Yeah. Okay.
They had Bangla Kit Kat there. It was just before we went to that
very
museum,
simple place. Yeah.
the ship, which is a museum. It's on land. Before that, we went. It's a family-run restaurant.
Family-run restaurant.
Beautiful
That's
place.
it. Yeah.
Oh, I'm glad they still have your pictures. Then Priyanka says we fashion a drinking game of taking a sip whenever Abhinandan forgets something or when Rocky cracks a PJ. So clearly you'll all be drunk by now.
That's rubbish. I never crack PJs here. All my J's are rich. They're never poor.
Yes, and total uncle jokes. Add one more to the list. It's a whole lot of fun and sunshine you bring about with each podcast. Keep up the good work, Priyanka. Thanks, Priyanka. Thank you so much for writing. Thanks for your encouragement.
Thank you, Priyanka. And I know Rocky for 44 years. There are no PJs to crack. He does not sleep in PJs.
Yes. And I must point out over here, uncle, what do you mean by this uncle joke and all that nonsense? All this boomer shumer that people keep calling us
Boomer Schumer.
is complete trash. Because we're not the boomers. We're Gen X, baby. We're Gen X.
By Gen X, yeah.
Yeah.
Gen X was the coolest gen, clearly.
So get with the program. The world is what we made it today. Okay, maybe that's not a good idea.
That you take responsibility.
Okay, we're not Gen X.
We are not Gen X. We are not even here. We were never born.
We're not here. Yeah, we were just kidding.
Okay, then Satyajit has written. Satyajit says, I started listening to Home podcast recently and it's such a wonderful thing you guys are doing during these tough times of COVID-19. Listening to you talk about your travels and food experiences gives hope to travelers and foodies like me that everything is going to be back to normal someday. Would love to receive the newsletter you mentioned on the podcast. Also, this is to Abhinandan. I knew you from Newslaundry and thought you were a completely political and journalistic person. Got to know you have a completely different side to you. That is shocking to me. Also, get to know you were the director of my favorite show from my childhood just makes me very happy. Would like to thank you for a beautiful show. And how can I forget the infamous Rocky and Mayur, two beautiful gentlemen. Beautiful gentlemen.
Yes, I'm completely with him. Yeah. Finally, somebody has recognized our real talent.
Two beautiful gentlemen who have been a huge part of how I have shaped my life. Just love you guys. I would love for this show to come back once the lockdown is over. If there is anything like Newslaundry revenue model, things that can be done to get this show back, please let me know. Would love to be part of it. If you could please add me to the newsletter. Satyajit, we will let you know. We will build a community that is going to make sure that Rocky, Mayur and Prashant head back on the road and relive the madness and insanity. I would like to call it Rocky and Mayur Ride Again. I love the sound of that, but we can talk.
I think after this whole COVID experience, this is going to be a real need of the hour because we are going to go out there and we're going to be ourselves. We're going to have fun. We're going to eat at all kinds of places. We'll show that you can still be alive at the end of all
I
that.
can see it now.
I mean, people are just so afraid of, ordering a pizza.
The monsoon will hit and I can see us right now, Mayur and me, huddled over two horses with our hats, lightning flashing in the back and both of us galloping and singing, rolling, 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 and though the streams are swollen, keep them doggies rolling, right. I'm trying to understand. Mayur, stop it, yaar. Beech mein ye baji ka maar raha hai. What are these jackals howling in the distance?
Ow!
And then suddenly I can see myself say, cut. Rocky उतर के जरा पहले अपनी शर्ट चेंज करके आइए, गीली हो गई है पसीने से. मयूर आप अपनी लाइन भूल गए हैं फिर से, तो आप लाइन रट के आइए.
Listen, what rubbish. We never had any lines, okay? For those of you who don't know this, Abhinandan had written us for a script which he wanted us to perform to when we had gone to, not to, what?
अरे लिखी कहाँ थी कोई स्क्रिप्ट?
अरे 3 script थी printed out. झूठे?
नहीं, we just had talking points, yeah.
कागज
Talking
पे
points की स्क्रिप्ट थोड़ी ना थी.
3 talking points with lines on them like, what beautiful aroma is coming from this food.
Please, that I would never write that.
और उस
Take
script
up
को
your own
हमने
script now.
उस script को
अरोमा की
हमने
स्पेलिंग तो आती नहीं.
अरोमा की स्पेलिंग.
Wafting up from the food.
उस स्क्रिप्ट में हमने आग लगा दी थी. उसमें सारे टॉकिंग पॉइंट्स हमने भट्टी में डाल दिए थे before we started shooting. So we don't do any lines. We don't remember. The only lines we do, we can't talk about right now.
Then Ashok says, "Hi home team, my name is Ashok. I'm from Odisha, born in Gujarat, grew up in MP, studied in Andhra, married a Punjabi, and live in Bangalore now.
Oh,
So I can claim to have Hawa Pani from almost all corners of this country. I'm an avid food lover. It is so wonderful to listen to your podcast. Just brings back the nostalgia from watching the old shows of yours, which have always been my favorite food and travel show. I noticed your Home 2020 Gmail shows the name as Abroma Singh. I was wondering why. Actually, even I was wondering why Mayur ne banaya. It took me about 2 minutes to understand. I'm obviously a little slow.
Yeah, शुरू में you said the 3 of us would do the thing. So it's Abhinandan.
Now we should add a PA.
Now we have to add a PA. अब वो change करना पड़ेगा.
PRAB Roma.
No, Prabroma.
Prabroma.
It will sound like a romantic Sadarni.
Well, just like many others in this wonderful community of hompers, believe that your podcast may well be the best thing that came out of these depressing times of Corona, bringing smiles, laughs, and cravings for all the wonderful food and traveling places we have in our wonderful country. I have been a huge fan of Abhinandan and Newslaundry ever since I came to know of it, but I didn't know that you directed the Homp series and was pleasantly surprised and so excited to find out. I've always loved the concept of traveling by road or taking road trips and indulging in our local foods, eateries to connect with our pride and Indian culture. I haven't been very successful with that though, as you need a good company of friends such as Rocky and Mayur to elevate a trip and make it fun. I sadly have the most depressing bunch of friends who are lazy.
The good news is they're not your friends anymore after they hear this. So don't worry, you don't have any friends now.
You can find new ones now.
Yeah.
I am now married and I hope to hit the road with my wife as soon as COVID subsides and things go back to some level of normalcy. I look forward to all of you, Prashant, Abhinandan, Mayur, Rocky, back again on the road and do what no one on this planet does better. I would love to sometime meet you folk or contribute to this community in all possible ways, and I can be a part to make it grow.
Hey, thank you, man.
Keep the atrociously funny podcast coming. Love you always, Ashok. Ashok, thanks, man. Touched.
Big hugs, Ashok.
So
That's a lovely email. Yeah, thank you, man. The only reason why we do these things, that I speak for Mayur and myself, of course. Prashant and Niku want money and glory and all, but the only reason why Mayur and I do this is because of mails like yours. Yeah, I mean, it's just fun to be out there. And I just keep kidding and pulling everyone's leg, but I think we were just blessed to have this team together here, because nothing great can be created by individuals. Even if you're me, you still need a team of people, and we managed to get this incredible team together. And I think that's why you enjoy watching and listening to what we have to say. There's just 4 very different characters. I mean, we start with, if we go weight-wise and start with Abhinandan, I mean, he's almost like, Abhinandan, what's your weight now? About
5'8".
5'8" is my weight.
At least you're trying.
Prashant, Johnny Walker Black Label ki kitni. My weight 5'8", my bloody nationality flower, my bloody eyesight blue, and my bloody height March का महीना.
नहीं यार, ये लेकिन लाइन बड़ी अच्छी है. My weight 5'8". बचा लो. It'll appear in Akshay Kumar or a Salman Khan movie one of these days anyway.
So we cover the whole range. Abhinandan is like in his 50s as far as his weight is concerned. Prashant is in his 70s. Mayur is in his 90s, and I'm in my plus a little more.
Hundreds, बस. इतना ही बहुत है.
A little more than 120s.
Yeah, thanks guys. More about this community, as we figure out once this gets out, we'll devise a new show. We'll create it all together. We will have a GoFundMe model for this. We don't want to do it with brands. We'll try to get support from whatever places we can on hospitality support and stuff. But yeah, we will dip into ideas from this community that we are creating during this lockdown time to make sure it blooms and flowers once we can get out there. Also, do subscribe to our newsletter. You can just click on the link no matter what platform you listen to us on. There is a link there. A form will open and you fill in the details and you will automatically subscribe to the newsletter. Also, give us a high rating no matter where you listen to us on. It makes it more likely for others to find us, or give us a favorable review if your podcast platform doesn't have a rating system. Now, guys, tell me more about Sikkim before we wind up.
Yeah, please. And just in case you've forgotten, send your emails into homp2020@gmail.com and you can address them either to Abroma, and now it's become Abroma Pa because Prashant is also here.
Mayur,
Yeah.
There was one place you'd mentioned where we stopped to eat on the highway on the way to Rumtek.
This was a place right outside our hotel. It was that little shack. And we went there and had those little curtains in front, a few plastic chairs. And then we had some of the monks who were like off the school. Now,
wasn't that outside Rumtek? Was that outside Rumtek or was that outside our hotel?
It was, I think it was closer to the monastery because a lot of the monks were there.
Yeah.
We were all sitting around. We had a chat. I mean, we had a chat with the monks inside the monastery, but then we also had a chat with them, some of them outside.
Yeah, it was very beautiful because there were these two really old monks, I remember, who were like really looking like angels have come down to earth. And I was like, sir, why you have food at the monastery? Why aren't you eating there? And he said, sometimes, no, we feel like eating chicken, no? Then we come here.
Yeah.
So, Hotel Zhang is the place just outside the Rumtek Monastery where the monks come down when they feel like eating chicken. And I mean, I feel really bad for them because the chicken is basically just slop thrown together with soy sauce and fried. And I mean, the food was really bad, but you know, the place is beautiful because
no
on one
one's
side,
going there for food.
Yeah, I mean, you have the monastery on one side, and then you have this beautiful small road, and across the road is one dhaba in the middle of nowhere, and just a thick forest behind it. At least it was like that. I'm sure it's changed now a lot.
But here's an unlikely conversation. Mama, I've decided to become a monk and go to the Rumtek Monastery. Is it the food?
That would be really bad food being served at home by mama if you want to go. But yeah, I mean, food isn't on the top of any religious man's mindset. So, you know, if
your religion is home.
Yeah, unless your religion is home. I mean, there are two kinds of people who I never believe if I see huge bellies on them. One is policemen and the other one is religious leaders. If they have big bellies, as far as I'm concerned, they're frauds. You can keep saying whatever you want to say.
Agreed.
So in fact, the next episode, let's go to a place where a trainer of the jungle warfare school told us about how he deals with the big bellies of cops.
Yeah, there you go. That's another guy. He was an instructor at the counterinsurgency, and well, he was an instructor at the school that we had gone to. And his stand was very clear. He said, "There's, you know, these policemen come here. They have huge bellies. They can neither run nor do the combat training. What's the point?" And he was like, "Look, I can respect you. When I look at you, I see somebody who's supposed to eat, and you have a belly. That's right. That's how it should be." And I was like, "Dekha, how great I am! The sacrifices I make for my career."
The next episode is going to be Mizoram, and we've had some of our most insane and scary moments there, at least from the director and producer's point of view, where Rocky...
Yeah, don't worry about Rocky. Don't worry about Rocky. The director and producer were very scared.
Yes. It's all about you.
In the same 2 days, he broke his foot, fractured it, and got bitten by a snake. I was like, ab aur kya, sab kood hi jate hain. Sab yahi kar dete hain. But we will tell you about that next time.
Before we get out of Sikkim, at least for Prashant and me, it's very important to mention to people that Sikkim is a fantastic and a very not very well-known destination for trekking. It has some fabulous treks. Now remember, Sikkim is where on the border of Sikkim and I think Nepal, the third highest mountain in the world, Kanchenjunga is there. It looms over. You can see it from most places. If you remember, we saw it from the top of the monastery also. And then it has all these beautiful valleys, meadows, thousands of lakes. So there's some really, really good treks.
Sikkim is very famous for.
Yeah, rhododendron trek, the Gwachala pass trek, anywhere from like a 2 or 3 day trek to like 15, 18 days where you cross a 5,000.
Do you need an ILP in Sikkim? No.
I think in some areas you do need ILP.
Well, now, I don't know now, the laws have recently changed. I think you need the ILP for most northeastern states now, which I think is atrocious. I think that's completely wrong because no Indian should need a permit to travel to India. I mean, it's our country, all of it.
I'm surprised you guys haven't mentioned Dansburg. Yeah,
That's what I was waiting for, of course. Yeah, on the way.
We saw the factory also. Yeah, हमने तो उसकी factory देखा है.
Yeah. On the way to there, you come across Yuksum breweries.
Yeah, Yuksum.
Yuksum is where they make the Dansburg diet and the Dansburg beer, which is Danny's brand.
Is it a rumor or Danny actually owns it?
No, he actually owns it, yeah.
He actually owns it, yeah. Danny Denzongpa and his family, they own it. Yeah.
So actually you can see the whatever distillery कहते हैं, brewery कहते हैं, जो भी कहते हैं. As you're driving, you see like down there in the valley. It's really beautiful. It's in a nice place. I wonder if it's still like that.
Yeah, no, well, even when we were there was so much construction happening. We were just discussing while driving up of how chaotic the roads would become once the construction was completed. I mean, we saw at least 1,000 homes being built between the plains and Gangtok, and it was scary. I mean, the population, of course, is growing everywhere.
It's the least populous state, by the way.
Is it?
Yeah.
Probably because it's a smaller state.
It's one of the smaller ones, yeah.
And also because of roads. But on that note, thank you boys for the tips and the trekking tips. Now, can I also thank you for your food court? Who's going first?
Yeah, मैं हमेशा पहले जाता हूँ. Come on, somebody go.
I'll go.
Okay, Mayur, go.
The food at Rumtek Monastery might make you miss your ma, but if you're not a monk, you can always drink beer made by Danny Denzongpa.
Nice.
My memory fails me often, but during the schedule, I was away and carried. My most memorable moment in Sikkim is Rocky trying to get me married.
That's because you have loving people around you. You sure know about friends and how to pick them. But if you really want to get married to beautiful people, I suggest you find your spouse in Sikkim.
Wow. This is like,
super.
Truly, this is an orchestra. This is Andrew Lloyd Webber happening.
Hannah? Really? Okay, so Weber, on that Spider-Man reference, we will go and we will be back again in a couple of days. Acha, wo dusra Andrew hai? Sorry, that's the only Weber I know.
Before we say goodbye, I just want to remind you again, you can go on to the Newslaundry website and read our story, what the NGOs are doing to alleviate the problem and the starvation that is happening around the country. If you can contribute to any NGO or organization or neighborhood or group of people in your city, make sure no one starves to death. No one should in a country like ours, where enough of us have plenty. So in whatever way you can, just make sure in your town, in your city, in your neighborhood, no one is wanting food.
That's very nice. Yeah. Whenever I hear you guys saying your goodbyes, I'm always thinking about the Pandavas here.
Why?
Because the Kauravas were the bad bhais here. The Pandavas were the good bhais.
So there, Priyanka, you can have one more shot.
Cheers, Priyanka and Priyanka's dad. This one's for you.
Yeah, this is not a PJ, this is a PJ uncle joke.
What rubbish uncle joke?
Happy anniversary again, Mayur. Now
Yes.
you go and
Mayur.
pop champagne, and this time we shall hand you over to your wife and not take you for a honeymoon with us.
Good night, stay safe.
Good night.
Okay. Bye, guys. Good night.
Good night.
Bye.
All the News Laundry podcasts are available on Stitcher, iTunes, and any other podcast platform.
Please subscribe to News Laundry. Help us keep news independent. To catch all our podcasts on news, pop culture, current affairs, and sport, visit newslaundry.com. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube channel.